Think about nowadays, every single seat on a plane has a USB, has a display, also has a chargers, right? So imagine that you're literally sitting down and it's pounding straight into your skull, straight into your brain from your neighbor's seat. This is like just one of many examples that we're just moving into an age of complete, overextension for our bodies.
If you've ever suffered with anxiety, depression, or just low energy, have trouble sleeping, or have chronic pain, this is definitely an episode to listen into, because today we're talking about EMFs, and I have a very special guest. His name is Pavel, and he is a former professional athlete, entrepreneur, motivational speaker, and founder of NOA Aeon. In his early 20s, the rigors of competitive sports began to wear on his unfortunately grueling training schedule. And that resulted in a downward spiral of just health issues. And it left him with a life-threatening case of Epstein-Barr virus. Forced to withdraw from the competitive cycling, Pavel searched for alternative avenues, which led him across the globe. Now, he is bringing all of his passion, expertise, and favorite life hacks to help upgrade our lives. In today's episode, we really focus in on EMFs, and I personally thoroughly enjoyed it because it was so eye-opening to me just of how prevalent they are. And this is definitely not to fearmonger EMFs and put you in a state of fear, but really just to educate you and help you just navigate EMFs and help you to block them to the best of your ability, because the more you know, the more you can block them and do things in your life. I mean, just for example, baby monitors. I had no idea the effects of baby monitors. That's just one example and one topic that we discussed in today's episode. So definitely listen to the very end, and I hope you guys enjoy it. You guys have probably heard of Beekeepers Naturals. They are everywhere with their superfood honey, brain fuel, bee pollen, and propolis sprays. I have personally been taking their brain fuel and propolis immune throat spray for over a year. So when they wanted to become a sponsor of this podcast, I was quite honored, and this couldn't have been a better match. And if you don't know about Beekeepers Naturals, let me quickly tell you that their propolis throat spray is literally something I use every single day, and often, multiple times a day. My husband and I both spray it at night and whenever we have a dry throat or tickle in our mouth. Now, I'm not sure if you knew, but honey isn't the only thing that bees make. They also produce a compound called propolis, which is literally a superfood. It has a special compound that acts as an antifungal, anti-inflammatory, and antimicrobial. One study found that when topical propolis was applied 3 times a day, it helped to heal cold sores, and the researchers found the propolis cream not only reduced the amount of herpes virus present in a person's body, but also protected the body against future breakouts. Another 2021 review found that propolis may also help treat mouth and throat infections, as well as dental cavities. And these are just a few reasons why Beekeepers Naturals uses this natural aid in so many of their products, and also includes it in their raw honey for a full spectrum superfood sweetener. The founder, Carly, actually created her products after experiencing reoccurring tonsillitis that worsened because her body couldn't tolerate antibiotics. Everything changed when she came down with a severe case while studying abroad in Italy. Desperate to avoid flying home for surgery, she wandered into an Italian pharmacy and found this stuff called propolis. After barely a week of taking the bee product, her tonsils had almost returned to normal. It was the first time in her life that something had worked for her condition. And that is what sparked her journey to create Beekeepers Naturals and all their superfood honey and propolis-based products. I highly suggest checking out their propolis spray for immune support, especially during these colder months, as well as all their other immune support products to naturally help your body fight off infections and keep them at bay. And you guys know I've got an amazing deal for all my listeners. If you just go to beekeepersnaturals.com/digest, you'll get a great, amazing discount. So again, go to beekeepersnaturals.com/digest and you will get an amazing discount for only my listeners. I hope you guys enjoy it. Did you know you swallow 5 to 7% of toothpaste every single time you brush your teeth? That's an entire blob of toothpaste every 7 days. And most commercial toothpastes are filled with harsh chemicals, artificial flavors, preservatives, titanium dioxide, and dyes. And I often get asked on my Instagram what toothpaste I recommend. And for a while, I was trying to find one with better for you ingredients and something that actually made my mouth feel great. Because I've tried so-called non-toxic toothpastes, but I never felt like they were actually getting the job done, if you know what I mean. And they didn't even leave my mouth feeling fresh. But I'm so glad to have stumbled across Bite toothpaste. These are actually tablets you put in your mouth and bite down on to start your brushing experience. Bite toothpaste bits are so convenient, you just pop a bit in your mouth, chew it up, and start brushing. It will turn to a paste just like you're used to, but with no plastic tube or messy paste. It took a few times for me to get used to it because my entire life I've been using a paste, but now I love them. I also love their mouthwash bits because I can carry these tablets wherever I go and do a quick rinse even in my car. Bite also now has a natural teeth whitening kit. So if you've been looking for a natural toothpaste without the paste, try Bite toothpaste tablets that come in glass jars to help reduce plastic waste and experience what I and so many others are obsessed with. Bite is offering my listeners 20% off your first order. Go to trybite.com/digest or use code DIGEST at checkout to claim this deal. That's trybite.com/digest. Thank you so much, Pavel, for coming on the show today. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure is mine. And thank you so much for what you're doing in the world, bringing, this outlet to so many.
Well, yes. Well, I like to just start high level here. So are EMFs the new cigarettes?
They possibly are. And it's really interesting, right? Because when I went on this search or hunt, whatever we call it, I've been an avid seeker of truth my whole life, and I have been extremely healthy and biohacker at a root, really taking charge of my personalized and environmental health. And it really wasn't until 5Gs got rolled out that I started feeling iffy and depressed, and I couldn't sleep. And long story short, it happened in Houston, Texas, where I moved shortly during the COVID era when it started. And essentially what happened to me was I started feeling or having unexplained health issues. And at that point, I had it down when it comes to my diet, my sleep, all of the above. And what happened was I looked outside of the window and I found a huge 5G tower less than 100 feet away from my window. And before, I was not one of those people that are like EMF are bad. And, there's like two groups in the world. One group is saying they're fine, safe, and there's no evidence that they're not safe. And then there's this other group that's saying there's over 6,000 peer-reviewed studies that it is unsafe. And so there actually is over 6,000 studies, by the way. So when I went on this search, I discovered that there's that many. And I basically start looking into EMFs. And so through this, I found Dr. Melcola's EMF book, which, by the way, is an amazing one for anybody that wants to just learn everything about it based on, science and studies. And in there, he made this, I guess he basically said that EMFs are the new cigarettes. And that's where, this term basically comes from. And what happens is in the 1950s, cigarettes were pushed by doctors, by scientists that, one cigarette a day keeps the doctor away. Those were some of the things that they were saying, which is ridiculous, right? But right now, if you Google, are EMF harmful? It will find you and it will tell you that there's zero evidence that EMFs are not harmful, even though we've known since 60s, the negative effects. And we can get into, more details, but I just wanted to let you know that the same PR and the same companies that were talking about cigarettes for 50 years before it blew out that they're not, good for us, are doing the same thing right now with electromagnetic frequencies.
The same people.
Yep, it's the same structure,
same organization,
same flow, same ideal, and same thing, right? It's a world of capitalism that we're living in, and we have to be really, really careful. Who do we trust, and what science we trust?
Yes, and you have to always think what's the agenda behind a study or behind what other people are saying in general. And now, just to kind of go back a little bit, can you explain to the audience what EMFs are? Let's just keep it basic here. What are EMFs?
Absolutely. So EMF stands for electromagnetic frequencies. And essentially, there's two different types of EMFs that are known to us. There's the natural EMF, which is, sun. We've been exposed to it ever since we're here on Earth. And then there is man-made EMFs, which essentially can be broken down into two segments. So there's a non-ionizing and ionizing. The non-ionizing man-made EMFs is TVs, cell phones, microwaves, power lines, everything around us. And then the ionizing man-made EMFs are things like ultraviolet radiation, X-rays, radioactive waste, which we've known, forever that has been detrimental to our health. But what we specifically have to kind of think about is the non-ionizing, because that is the things that we use, on an everyday basis.
Got it. Okay. So, and are they everywhere? I mean, I'm just assuming people listening, they're living mostly in a city. Maybe some are living on a farm, but most of people are living in a general city. There's stores, shops, all the things, right? And how prevalent are EMFs?
So maybe we can do a short meditation, right? No matter where you are right now in the world, think about EMFs as they're literally these focus beams all around us. And so let's say that you are inside of your room right now. There's going to be your Wi-Fi, then the Wi-Fi of all the other rooms, especially if you're in apartments. There's going to be a 5G signal that is coming to your phone, or nowadays, even the Wi-Fi is on 5G. Then you have your appliances. So anything that's smart, it's actually quite dumb for our health. I hate to say it this way.
But hey, that's a good way to say it.
But, smart cities is actually awesome, right? Technological breakthrough and making everything more accessible and easy. But it's not healthy and studied properly for our health. Now, the other thing is your microwave. I mean, we shouldn't use microwave, period. I mean, we've known this for many, many years. And then you've got the regular TV, you've got satellites around us. And this is, by the way, actually one of the freakiest part about EMF is the amount of satellite networks that are being put up every single day. There is about, I think, between 2,000 and 4,000 that are already around the Earth, but there's supposed to be 40,000 of these by in the next 10 years, which means that the entire Earth is going to be carpeted by an awesome, Wi-Fi signal, but then we will not be able to, we had no choice to ask if we opt in or out. And we will literally have nowhere on earth to hide from any of this. And, this is all fun and game, right? Until you actually start feeling these harmful effects. And so, yeah.
Well, let's talk about because I want to take my audience through, a typical home and how to detect things in your home that are emitting EMFs. But before we do that, I want to ask you, what are EMFs doing to our body? How are they hurting us? And what are the effects?
Absolutely. So there's a wide scale of, harmful reported, symptoms. So first thing first, what's important to understand that there is about 3% of the population that are something called the electrohypersensitive. This is an actual medical term. And what that means, 1 out of every 33 people cannot stand any EMFs, man-made EMFs whatsoever. These are people that we actually get constantly calling us because they have nowhere to go. If they hold the phone for 1 or 2 minutes even, their hands start burning. They have migraines. They start feeling just very tired, cannot properly recover or sleep. Then you've got another 35% of the world that have a mild or moderate symptoms. And this is, by the way, where I fall in. This is when, I don't have the crazy symptoms like others, but I have the iffy feelings. I just can't put hands on what is wrong with me, what is happening with my sleep. Why am I feeling depressed, anxious? So those are the moderately sensitive. And then the rest of the population, no matter who you are, you're still prompt to this. It's just kind of like a cigarette. It won't kill you in 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 20 years. It's the amount of accumulation that you get through the exposure, and more you're exposed, then further, detrimental it can be to your health. Now, some of the main reported symptoms are impaired immune system, reduced melatonin, which goes hand in hand with sleep, brain tumors, eye problems, memory loss. Other people have DNA damage, headaches, fatigue, fibromyalgia, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, depression, anxiety, and especially cancers. And so we've seen this more and more, especially with men, that are having their cell phones in their pocket. We've also seen it with women that are putting their cell phones around their breast. By the way, never ever do this because it can cause literally a breast cancer. And then we see people that always are holding phones like this. Which, by the way, my father-in-law, he had a brain tumor in his ear, and he's been working for telecommunication company his whole life. And so it's just, how close is this to us? This is our, family,
Yeah.
right?
It's the world that we live in, and it's crazy to think that this maybe EMFs are the missing link to so many factors like chronic pain and Alzheimer's and anxiety. That's huge. And I always see people too, they're using those little ear pods, and I'm like, use something with wires, please, because they don't know. They don't know what they don't know. But I think that's huge when people are using the wireless ear pods. And that's just my opinion, but there's so many other things. And it's crazy too. Like, a lot of people are hypersensitive, and they may be experiencing like anxiety, for example, and not know that maybe it's just the EMFs all around them that are contributing to that.
Yeah, and that's the craziest part, is because the cigarettes are visible, right? So if we compare it back to that, you can see smog, and you can you can kind of remove yourself, right, from the immediate distance. But with EMFs, they're invisible, which makes us, it's basically a digital smog. And what I like to practice a lot is basically digital or EMF hygiene, where I want to remove myself completely to recharge ourselves, back because of the amount of exposure we're just daily, in. And I travel so much. I travel about 120 days out of the year. And because we're constantly on planes and airports, and think about nowadays, every single seat on a plane has a USB, has a display, also has a chargers, right? So imagine that you're literally sitting down and it's pounding straight into your skull, straight into your brain from your neighbor's seat. And so this is like just one of many examples that we're just moving into an age of complete, overextension for our bodies.
Yeah, and it's so hard because so many people's jobs rely on computers, cell phones, wireless internet, like all these different things. And it's like, well, I can't get away from it. I have to like make money. I have to do my job, right? So especially people now, I mean, they're working out of their homes. So people that are working out of their homes, they've had to bring in more technology into their homes to be able to work out of their homes. So can you, like where in our home are EMFs super concentrated? Can you like walk us through that?
Yeah, absolutely. So for this moment, and you can even write this down on a piece of paper if it's helpful, because I like to kind of use this technique, right? Like you first bring the awareness, right? You write down any of the potential sources, then you move into cleaning them up, like how do we mitigate or minimize, and then you power up with what else can we bring in to our lives that can help us work with technology rather than against it. And so if you think about your home right now, think of it, so either you have a single family house or you are inside of an apartment complex. If you have a single family house, it can be better because you're hopefully further away from other sources. But if we focus for a moment just at your home, let's think about anything that has Bluetooth. So whatever it's Bluetooth speakers, whatever it's Bluetooth headphones, anything with Bluetooth, that is something that we want to minimize. The other thing is things like Echo or Alexa, right? In our houses, we use all of these devices now. So unplugging them when you're not using them is a huge need. The other thing is smart TV. So same thing, unplugging it when you don't use it. Then we've got routers at your house. And so, for us at home, we just simply turn the Wi-Fi off completely. Ideally, you go back into cords, right? Like you just do a hard wire. But I also understand, in today's world, it's almost impossible, right? To be able to minimize everything. The other thing is baby monitors. So for any kids, for any parents, by the way, there was a question to Barry Trower, who was he was an expert in microwave weapons for the Royal Navy and British Secret Service, and basically he now dedicates his life to how do we fight this EMF game. And what he stated is there a safety limit to our children when it comes to EMF? And literally he says there is zero. And the reason why, our children have a much milder skulls. They're not as developed yet. So it penetrates through, 10 times as much as an adult. And just to give you a quick, crazy thing that I've discovered through this was all of the industry funded studies around EMF, they're made on 220-pound men. And there is only 3% of this population actually in the world. And so when they're looking at the harmful effects, they're the least ones to feel the harm. So if you put the same study on children, there's literally zero safety limit when it comes to that. And so that's why bringing it back to the baby monitors, do use them either very far away or see if there's alternative baby monitors that don't imitate as much EMF. They are on the market.
I mean, that's crazy. And I want to ask you, first of all, about the baby monitors, but also kids these days, they're on screens now. They're holding the tablets, they're on their parents' phones. I mean, literally a kid 2 years old, even younger, they're playing on these screens. And of course, that's like right in front of them. They're using the tablets on their laps, like right on their private parts. Like, that this is just like, so, I'm sorry, it it can upset me. And it's horrible to see what this next generation and the issues that they could have because of this. Yeah, that's so interesting, the study. But yeah, back to the baby monitors. Do you know of any baby monitors that are, quote, safe?
So none of them are quote unquote safe. There are. So we're gonna add it to the comments. I'm gonna search it so that way we make sure that we find the ones that are least impactful. So I just have a 7-week-old baby, and we completely opt out from any of that. And honestly, to stay on the children, I don't know if you know this, but France in 2014 they completely banned any use of Wi-Fi in nursery schools, and this is since 2014. Or China, pregnant women in China are required to wear EMF protection attire around their bellies, and this is other countries. Just so you know, so like if you even think about like why are all of these other people that are not as capitalistic oriented, we could say in some shapes and form, are already making these type of measures. That's you see it right here.
I mean, if we're seeing other countries like France and all these, and they're doing all these protective, preventative things, how come we're not jumping on the bandwagon? How come America is just like, whatever? I mean, it goes back to the whole food thing. You see like Europe, their food ingredient standards are much higher than the USA. And you have to, I mean, people have to have interest and know, okay, why are they taking these precautions? Let's hop on that bandwagon too. So
that's
it's crazy.
Exactly what I was thinking as well. And also, so for example, Israel, they're the first country that requires their mobile phones to have a warning label. So just like, back into the cigarettes, right? That they actually are having a warning label now that there is, a radiation that comes from your cell phone. And 9 out of 10 cell phones, if you independently measure them, are way over our safety limits. And so again, there's a whole thing. Chicago Tribune, by the way, they did an amazing, like an independent study. They were wondering, what do we do with this EMF thing? Is it real? Is it not? And so they ran a whole video, and their studies were based on cell phones from like 2008, and they were already like way over limit. But so imagine, nowadays you have, iPhone 14, 15. I lose the count with,
I know.
with the new ones. And iPhone 12 was banned about 2 months ago from France altogether.
Let me talk about gut health for a second, particularly the gut mucosal barrier. And every year, more and more people are developing gut issues. So why is our gut being so compromised so much? Why is what was designed to protect us from viruses being hit so hard these days and ultimately being suppressed, resulting in poor gut health? Well, our modern living impairs immunity at the mucosa. Each day, our bodies are bombarded by a host of disruptive things that weaken this line of defense. Air pollutants, pesticides in the food and water supply, medications, stress hormones, refined carbohydrates, processed food, and micronutrient deficiencies, among many other factors, disrupt the architecture and make the gut barrier more penetrable. This makes it easy for harmful particles to get inside, including viruses, bacteria, molds, allergens, and environmental toxins. But there's good news, you guys. Colostrum has been clinically shown to help guard against inflammation and everyday toxins and pollutants. There are over 5,000 published studies to date documenting the benefits of colostrum and its ability to optimize health at all stages of life. Colostrum intake has been linked to fewer respiratory tract and GI infections in children and adults, including recent studies showing it's 3 times more effective than the flu vaccine at preventing the flu. That's right. You heard me. Colostrum has been clinically shown to be 3 times more effective than the flu vaccine without any risk or harmful side effects. If you've been following me on Instagram, then you probably have seen me talk about Armra Colostrum specifically. Armra Colostrum is different. They use a proprietary cold chain biopotent technology that distills over 200 functional nutrients, guaranteeing the highest bioactive integrity and bioavailability. They also only extract and use the surplus colostrum from grass-fed, pasture-raised, happy cows that are no longer needing it to supply their young. So you know you're not taking away from animals that need it. Only the surplus colostrum is used, and Armra makes sure they are getting only the best from healthy USA cows from family farms. Armra has 3 flavors, orange, watermelon, and unflavored, which is my personal favorite because the unflavored has no natural flavors and just one single ingredient. It tastes creamy and kind of just delicious, in my opinion, just kind of like a milky, creamy goodness. And it's suitable for even those with dairy sensitivities because the casein is removed, which is the protein most people with a dairy allergy react to. And Armra has many dairy sensitive customers. And for those who do not have a true allergy, but rather have a dairy intolerance, the culprit is usually not the dairy itself, but rather the way that it is processed. All commercial dairy utilizes high heat and aggressive processing for pasteurization and sterilization. Unfortunately, this changes the structural shape of the proteins and destroys the omega fat molecules, rendering them unrecognizable to the body as a food. This is what triggers the immune system inappropriately, leading to intolerance symptoms like digestive complaints, rashes, and inflammation. However, Armra's innovative cold chain biopotent technology distills colostrum's 200 plus functional nutrients without the use of high temperatures, guaranteeing the highest bioactive integrity and bioavailability. As a result, Armra is actually anti-inflammatory and often well tolerated by customers who typically would have dairy intolerance otherwise. So, if you want to rebuild your whole body microbiome and strengthen your immune barriers along the mouth, sinuses, lungs, gut, urinary, and reproductive tract to block unwelcome particles for your strongest immune health, I highly recommend Armra Colostrum. Go to tryarmra.com and use code DIGEST to receive a special discount for my podcast listeners only. That's tryarmra.com and use code DIGEST to receive a discount. Again, that's tryarmra.com and use code DIGEST. I hope you love it as much as I do. If you've ever wondered about the non-toxic air fryers, shampoos and conditioners, organic undies, and new food products on the market, and even some not available to the public yet, and well, you want to get the inside scoop, then you need to join the 20,000 plus people that are already receiving these updates via my Friday Finds newsletter. I share information that only my subscribers get in their inbox. Stuff like non-toxic kitchen appliances, new food finds, product recalls, food news, and even personal care products we all should or should not be using. My Friday Finds newsletter goes out once a week every Friday and has quickly become some of my followers' favorite things to open in their inbox. I've even started to include a recipe in this once a week newsletter. This is not published anywhere else and cannot be found on my blog. So if you're not part of the over 20,000 people that are in the know, be sure you're not left out by going to littlesipper.com/subscribe and enter your email. That's it. It's free. There's no spam, just helpful, insightful content full of goods, literally. So pause this episode and go to LILSIPPER.com/subscribe. That's LILSIPPER.com/subscribe. Now, do you recommend any type of cell phone cover that can help protect that? And like what brand or what do you use?
No, absolutely. So I think if we look at EMFs in general, right? Like what do we do to protect us or to mitigate it? So distance is always the number one priority. So if you don't use anything, don't have your cell phone on your ear. Either use air tube based headsets. That's what I'm wearing right now, or use a caution of a distance. So you just put it on a speaker and then I just have it, further away from me. So distance is always great, but not in all cases, because I'll give you an example with 5G. If you are underneath a parking garage, and you have a low signal, right? Naturally, because of all of the blockades, all 6 or 8 5G towers that are in the area, they're going to shoot at you at the same time because it will try to find you signal. So especially when you have a low signal areas, it's that much more intense because of the search, right? Your cell phone is searching and the towers are searching to find you. And so anytime you have a low signal, I just put it on airplane. So whenever you don't use cell phone, put it on airplane. Whenever you don't need Wi-Fi, at home, just shut it off completely out of the power. And of course, that will help you mitigate at your own home, right? What you can control personally, but then you can control neighbors' Wi-Fi, you can control satellites. And that's when we get into other, tools. Now, when it comes to personalized protection, we actually, at our NOA Aeon website, we work with something called the Defender Shield, which helps you cover your cell phone. It helps you with earbuds. It has EMF belts. So my wife, whenever we were flying on an airplane, we had a blanket as well as we had a little baby, belt that protects us from, protects her belly from the EMFs. There is also, many other personalized gadgets, especially for children. If they have iPads, you can actually cover the iPad with this protection, and they're very effective because you can measure it, you can see it before, you can see it after, and it imitates, borderline zero when you're actually having it inside of these devices. And then for something like Wi-Fi's or any airports, we use something called the WaveGuard. We also have it on the website. And
yeah, I have it. I love it. For my listeners, I have the portable one, and I think I've shown it a few times on my Instagram, and it's great. And the cool thing about this one, I'll let you explain, but I have the portable one, so I could take it with me, like in my car. Like it's about the size of a coffee cup, a little bit like taller, but it fits in your coffee cup holder in your car, and like so. Anyways, yeah, explain what that is.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got 3 different types, and it all depends on the length of protection that you're looking to, or area you're looking to treat. Now, so again, what we're saying is instead of going against telecommunication companies, let's see how we can work with it. And that's really what this technology does. So it uses something called the key liquid, which is inside of each of these, 3 devices. And basically, it just varies based on how many of the key liquids are inside of it, which will increase the range around your field. And what it does, so it's actually been designed. It's a groundbreaking depolarization technology, which allows to renaturalize harmful EMFs around you. So as we discussed early on, right, they're kind of shooting all through us and inside of our homes and offices, whatever we are. And essentially what this does, it will take that square footage based on the size and will renaturalize it back into much closer to Earth frequency, much closer to what the natural state of our being is. And it takes this liquid, which has a full spectrum light. So basically this inventor, Hagen Thiers, he was the inventor of the year in the European Union last year, because how groundbreaking this is, because it actually takes the EMFs, renaturalizes them, and then you can live, safely, up to 90%, around your field. And there is over 25 independent studies that are showing this efficacy, that it actually, works. And essentially, what's really exciting or interesting about this is that now, if you're flying, if you're in a car, you can take the portable device with you. Or, of course, if you have a large home, you would use the key home, which can cover, a solid 3-4 bedroom house. And then if you have Key Max, which is the largest one, that covers 20-store building and up to 328 feet in diameter. And that could be either for offices or for, super
Like a
large
hotel room, maybe?
hotel room, or, something that we're testing now is grocery stores, because one of the other benefit it has, it actually mineralizes water. It reactivates water. It works also for food, for your pets, for your flowers or anything else that's alive in your field. And so what I really would love to see is, imagine that you go into organic grocery store and you actually buy active food, right, for your body.
Wow. Yeah, I'm super interested. I'd love to have a follow-up on that because that's so interesting. Now I kind of want to go back a little bit because I was just fascinated by what you said about like being in a parking garage and actually having that be more harmful because you're searching for a signal. And it totally makes sense because it's trying harder. So like if someone's in, like you said, a parking garage or somewhere where there's just really no signal, it's really working 3 times as hard to try and find you, which is more detrimental, correct? I just want to make sure that. Okay.
It absolutely. So anytime it searches, anytime it's on low bar, that's when, if you don't need it, just turn it off, just keep it shut off. And then if you do need it, find a Wi-Fi or find something that has a full bar. Again, it's still, not ideal, but if you protect your phone and then you protect your space around you, you can at least be in much, healthier environment. And your DNA is when you're really going to feel it. I mean, your cells are struggling because we're constantly fighting, this poison essentially. And, I always like to say EMFs are just like toxins. It's just a different level of toxicity that we're being exposed to that we need to detox from our system. And that's why, taking time in nature, taking time and ground yourself, earthing is a huge, movement around the world itself. That actually helps you take that negative charge out of your system, out of your body.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, our bodies are definitely electric and we can feel it. I've shared this story a few times, but this was about, I don't know, a few years ago before I even met my husband, but I went through a huge anxiety attack, like huge, for about a month. And I was literally paralyzed in bed and my whole body was having these like electric signals where I was in so much pain. I was crying. I didn't know what was going on. And I did every single test under the sun. I mean, I thought, oh, maybe I have a brain tumor. Like all these things were happening. And all the tests came back normal. And they're like, Bethany, like after all was said and done, after all these tests and studies and research, and they're like, I think you have anxiety. And I was like, there's no way. Like I'm physically feeling these shocking waves in me. And anyways, all that to say was it did happen to be anxiety, but all that to say is our bodies are so electric that we can physically feel shocks and things. And like you said, it's so important to be outside and ground, be in nature, touch the ground, touch the dirt. And I kind of want to go back again to people's homes because I've heard that dimmer light switches are also actually suspect.
Absolutely. So something that we haven't touched on yet, is fluorescent lighting. And I mean, there's a whole movement around blue lights in general. I mean, I don't know if you're wearing also blue light
Yeah.
blocking glasses. I'm actually light sensitive, and so it's another add-on to our daily routine. But essentially, the fluorescent lights emit something called a dirty electricity. And dirty electricity is ungrounded plugs essentially in our house. And there is a way you can actually test this pretty easily. You can get one of those dirty electricity meters. They're like 15, 16 bucks on Amazon. And you can actually check your outlets if they're properly grounded. And if they're not, then you definitely want to either find a solution to reground them, bring electricians in, or there is also a variety of other products that work with that. And the other thing is smart meters. So a lot of people don't realize, but there is tens of thousands of people on Earth right now that have massive health issues from smart meters alone. There's like a whole association even of people because how much of them this has been. And so again, think about it, right? Your smart meters, they could sometimes be right next to your window, or they could be, right on your house or your apartment. And so closer you are to smart meters, there's sleeping problems, there's ringing in ears, headaches, learning problems, fatigue. And, and that's on top of Wi-Fi's, right? That we're exposed to. And so, there's this, website. It's called the Stop UMTS.nl. And essentially, it will give you all of the latest research, studies, science around smart meters. And what we did at our home, we actually called the company to change it back to analog meter. So that way we don't have that, emitting in our house. And so that's dirty electricity, that's smart meters, that's your LED lights, dimmer switches, all of them could be changed. There is a specific light bulbs that you can actually buy that have a 3 different light control. So there's like a daylight which imitates the sun, so you can wake up. There is a midday, and then there is the evening, which will turn into red light, which actually helps you stimulate melatonin before you sleep. And that's something that can be easily done and replaced.
I'll make sure to put those dimmer lights or those 3 switches in today's show notes if anyone wants to access that, because that's super important. But yeah, good tip.
I feel like there's a lot, right? So I think what we should also do, we have a team of EMF experts that can actually, we do this for free for people. People can just book and schedule an appointment. And one of our team members will actually go through your house or your apartments, and they'll look at every single thing that you should either mitigate, switch, or improve. And I think that would give probably the most value, because then it's personalized care to you.
That's amazing. You guys just do that for free and people can just book. So I'll make sure that people can have access to that, and I'll put a link where they can do that, for themselves as well. I mean, all this information, I feel like a lot of it is just super eye-opening to so many people. And also I've heard wireless printers.
Same thing. So Wi-Fi, so think about it. Anything that connects to your router at your home is a suspect, and anything you can go back to cord, amazing. Especially the old copper wiring systems. And the issue is, companies like AT&T, right? They're moving everything to 5G. I mean, they literally are replacing everything. So we're living in this era, right? That like one way we don't want to be scared, right? Because at first when I start listening to this, I got freaked out. I got freaked out for my kids, for myself, because I actually felt horrible, right? Like I didn't feel good. But then when I start understanding it and taking charge, right, and mitigating, and then also completely, depolarizing, it helped me tremendously to be able to co-op with all of this. And one thing that was fascinating to me that I heard from the inventor, Hagen Thiers, he was saying that the way the EMF, the 5G towers are set up is so inefficient that even if they just spent a little bit more money, they could be they could be 70% less harmful already. And it's just a matter of proper settings. And so he's dedicating his life to, instead of creating more products, just emit these frequencies without the harmful effects to our body to begin with. Because imagine that we just did that and bah, now we don't have to, spend all this money for all these gadgets, because we can actually, do it right from the beginning.
Yeah, wow. That's so amazing that he's dedicating his life to do that. Yeah, and we definitely don't want to put fear into anyone listening here, but what we want to do is educate, give information, and then provide tools where we can do our best to mitigate all of these EMFs and things. So we really want to just provide ways that you can start to feel better, really.
That's absolutely right.
Well, and if you have, so I have like dimmer switches in my house, for example, and I heard, because I actually had a consult with your company and it was super helpful. So, but they were saying if you have dimmer switches, either keep them all the way up or keep them all the way down. Never, even if the light is off, never have the dimmer like in the middle, because that is actually creating more like EMFs and things like that in your home. So we just keep our dimmer switch all the way down. So whenever we do hit the light, it's just down, and then that's just how it is. Or, if someone really wants highlight, then they keep it up. But in my personal opinion, keep it low.
Yeah. So 100%. I would say actually, so more it works, right? More power you put through it, then more dirty electricity it will, imitate. But of course, ideally you just look at your house from a place of, oasis, right? And I would even say that you've got your full house, right, which is where you live, but then your bedroom specifically, treating it as, completely electronics free zone is a huge, thing, because especially, for example, when I travel in hotels, the first thing I do, I try to remove the bed a little bit outside of the walls, because the walls are fully connected by dirty electricity and ungrounded wires and beyond. So I've learned that now at our house, we have 100% organic bed that we sleep on. It has a grounding mats as well. So we're actually sleeping on earth, basically. And then we have literally no alarm, no, computers, no TV. It's fully, protected space. And of course, you can even do a Faraday cage, right? There's a cages that you can, or little nets you can buy above your bed if you want to have a complete Faraday, completely no EMFs whatsoever. And I highly recommend that as well, because that gives you 100%, right? But then for the rest of the day, you want to be able to, operate and use Wi-Fi. And that's what's great about WaveGuard is you can use Wi-Fi. It does not kill the signal. It works with the EMFs.
Yeah, the WaveGuard is great. And then to your point, I mean, I feel like no one should have a TV in their room regardless if it's emitting, EMFs or not. I think that bedroom should be a place that you just don't have the TV in. It helps whether you sleep alone or whether you sleep with a partner, especially if you sleep with a partner, it's like, it just interrupts, that connection that you guys have. So
yeah, then we get into relationships, and then we get into, right, like also like, imagine like so many of us, right? We wake up in the morning and imagine that your phone is right next to your bed. And let's say that your phone is not on airplane when you're sleeping. So the whole night, it's just giving you notifications, but also it just keeps on connecting to Wi-Fi, right? Or to the cell phone towers. So imagine if that's right next to your head, how are you supposed to calm down your nervous system and, bring your HRV or heart rate variability up while it's the most important time for you to reset, right? And so what I've been doing, I am very strong when it comes to turning the cell phone off. And then first thing in the morning, before I jump on the news and everything else that's on the emails and things like that, I actually spend the first hour completely unhooked from everything and do my meditation, do my breath work, do my self time, because then you don't have this instant activation.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. You should just kind of have that morning and not just wake up and like go, go, go. And I used to be like that all the time. And I'm slowly trying to just, take a step back because really it comes down to your health. And your health is so important to you. If you don't have that, you don't have anything. And I also heard because you're wearing these blue light blockers. And no, I know no one can see, but they seem to be the same color as mine. They're like the orange hue. So if anyone has seen blue light blockers and they're actually orange, what brand are you wearing? Just curious.
This, I have no idea. I
I'm
am
just trying to
so
look at
sorry.
mine are Ray Optics.
Oh, you know what? That's
Uh,
exactly the same one. It has
Ray
that little,
Optics?
yes, yes, it
Yeah,
has
yeah,
that
yeah.
same logo. Okay. Yeah, they're actually great. They have their proprietary way of doing it because, same thing like in everything. You can buy $15 ones that literally just put a yellow lens in, and then you've got other ones that, have the filters. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, so for me, when it comes to environment, I take a huge leap. In this journey, after we exposed EMFs, I start also looking into paint. What is the toxicity that we're ingesting, right? What we're breathing. I start looking into air filters, right? At the house. I start looking into water filters because of water is poisoning us. Majority of the water is horrible when it comes to the city water. And then I start looking to light, right? So same way as we looked at EMFs, I kind of looked at all of the different aspect of our homes, so that way we can create an environment that can actually give us energy, that can be living and breathing ecosystem for everyday success. And imagine in this world that, let's say that you have a moldy house, you've got dirty electricity, fully loaded with EMF, then you've got poor water quality, and then you add, let's say toxic paint, you're starting the day with like 30-40% of your energy that you're meant to create and educate and have this beautiful life of full of joy. But then if all of this environment is just taking your energy down constantly, you're just fighting everything to just stay alive instead of thrive.
Yeah, wow. It's just such a good point. I even heard a study that looking at blue light actually causes acne. I know that blue light, and EMFs are totally and completely different, but my point in saying this is technology in general is just causing so many physical ailments that we would never even think of. And EMFs are no different, but isn't that crazy? I don't know if you heard that study that blue light can cause acne.
I have not. That's a really good point for teenagers, though.
Yeah, yeah, get off your phone.
I like that tactic, to get off of it.
I don't know. I mean, nothing would surprise me these days, but yeah, I mean, I think what you're doing with your company is amazing. What you're doing to educate people and help people really just navigate through their home. I mean, obviously, not everyone can maybe afford a waveguard, but I would definitely say look into it. I think I even have a code. I'll put that in the show notes too, because I think that's super important. I think it saves you a couple $100. So everyone I feel like should get one, even the most least expensive one just to have. Now, also, for those that maybe can't even afford that and they're just like super tight budget, I know that there are other ways, like you said, to kind of help mitigate things. Having a self timer on a lot of things like your smart TV and other wireless routers, and just having that automatically turn off at night and then come back on in the morning. Would that be something that would be helpful?
Absolutely. So I would highly suggest, get on a call with our team because they'll be able to give you all of this information, for free. So you can actually understand where you're at. The other thing I would say is, we're in this. So for me, when I started this company, I spent 10 days in darkness. I spent literally with no food in the middle of Thailand. And I walked in there as a busy entrepreneur that was fed up. I was, overexhausted, tired, burned out. And I walked out of there with this vision that I want to create a marketplace for people that can find things which are of our highest good. And so essentially, this is what drives us. Our mission is to first lead with education, lead with love, lead with understanding. And then, of course, this product can be pricey. And unfortunately, I wish we could affect it. And I think in the future, the inventor is looking at smaller devices that are like a pocket based, but it's charged inside of this chamber. It's a $1 million chamber that actually charges, certifies, and makes this technology to be possible. And nobody's been able to replicate this, which is that's how strong this is. And so the reason why it's so expensive is because of this process that it goes under to make this actually functional and working device. And then, we've got financing, and especially if somebody is electro hypersensitive, we've even taken a loss because we want to get this product to these people that actually call us back and they're saying, I'm able to be on a phone now, which I haven't been for the past 5 years. So that's crazy, right? Because for some people, literally being electro hypersensitive is like having a cancer because they cannot function in this world. So imagine you give somebody the function back, how big of a cause you're making, and that's what we're in for, is to change this trajectory.
Oh, you're melting my heart. I love it. I mean, you guys are really trying to just help people out there. And I feel like, when it comes to your health, again, I will spend more money on my health than like a vacation, or like, I'll be like, no, it's okay. Like, just because you want to feel good. Like what's the point, And, but I love what you guys are doing and just trying to get this into everyone's home, everyone's hand, and just so that they can live their life and take back their life,
Absolutely.
So as we close, is there anything that you can give, any advice as like a parting way for people listening?
So don't be scared and don't think that you have to change it all at one day because you've been used to this, for quite some time. Now, remove first. So get rid of what you can that you're not necessarily using, and then add the right supplement, so to speak, to supplement that the issue that we're living in. And then learn and educate yourself, because if you are just listening to media, it's like with everything. You cannot rely on what you're seeing on your phones or on your TVs, because there is some sort of agenda behind that. It is not of your highest good, unfortunately. I pray that we're going to move into this era where we are doing things because it is actually helping us. But until we get there, we've created EMF webinar. We've got the free EMF, consultation. So take advantage of this, because we've done hours and hours of research ourselves to be able to understand this. And that's what, I would love to leave with.
No, that's wonderful. And then where can people find you, Pavel?
So it's noaaon.com, NOAAON.com, and then Noah Aon Official on any social media. And we post different educational tips, tricks, videos. I mean, we've got people like Dave Asprey, Ben Greenfield, Luke Story. They're all having this device at their home, and they're having a massive experiences, which is why, they're sharing this as well.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. I'll make sure to put those links in today's show notes too, so everything is easily accessed. Thank you so much for coming on today. It's just been a pleasure and very, very eye-opening.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Digest This. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review in your podcast app to let us know. If you're ever wondering how you can support me and this podcast, sharing it with your friends and family is the best way. This is a Resonant Media production produced by Drake Peterson and edited by Mike Fry. To email the show, message us at digestThisPod@gmail.com. See you next time. The content of this show is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for individual medical and mental health advice and does not constitute a provider-patient relationship. As always, talk to your doctor or health team first.